My name is Shynia A. I am about to be graduating with my communications degree at Baruch College, and I am director of bookings at On the Radar. Started there as an intern about 2 years ago, maybe, or 1.5 years, maybe. I really haven't been keeping track. But yeah, I started there as an intern, and then from there, I began to be Gabe's personal assistant, which is my boss, which is the owner, creator, founder of On the Radar Radio. And then about after a year of being his assistant, I became the director of bookings. In my role, one of the major bookings that I did so far was the A&P booking with Davis. Um, I basically coordinated that. Shout out to Brandy. She worked with me there to coordinate that session, but I think that was like my overall biggest role there. Other than that, work events. So we do a lot of partnership events. So those are kind of work with, and then the school events that we do as well. Talk at schools, panels, or schools will come and visit our studio, have a whole tour there. Pretty cool stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, my journey in communications have been pretty stagnant. I just went to college for it. Originally, I went to college at Morgan State University. I majored there as mass communications, and then a year later, I went into Baruch, and then I majored communication studies there. Getting into music was something that I wasn't really looking forward to. I was kind of going for the TV entertainment side of things. Music just came about in its own way, God bless. But yeah,
I guess like what are some things like I guess advantages and like disadvantages, when it comes to working, on the radar?
I would say my main advantage there is like building my own brand. I feel like that's the main thing. Like, yeah, I work for On the Radar, but people also know me from On the Radar personally from myself. And I feel like that's the best thing I could get from there. Funny enough, I had just went to Key Glock's album release listening party. It was some of those things. And I literally, as soon as I got to the line, somebody, like one of the workers there, I guess on Key Glock's team, just came up to me out of nowhere. So, literally, as soon as I got to the line, he just came, he was like, I know your face. Like, like you're somebody. And I was like, yeah. Like it wasn't even like I didn't have to say anything. He just said that like I know your face, you're somebody. And I was like, yeah, whatever. So it's like just building my own brand and having people just recognize me like that, I would say is one of my biggest advantages working there, which I kind of love, That's my main thing. So I want to build my brand. I want to be my own self outside of OTR.
And is there I guess maybe like any disadvantages?
The disadvantage, I want to say there's any disadvantage working there. I would say it's probably disadvantage in the industry, maybe. I just feel like in this industry, maybe all industries, but some people are just very entitled. And it's like working with entitled people, sometimes they can get a little challenging just because, like, you have to stand your ground. And it's like, I can't let you run over because then everybody thinks they can run over, and that's just not how we're going to do it. I also think another disadvantage of working at On the Radar in itself is that because, hey, director of bookings, people think who I'm close to, who I have relationships with, friendships with, and everything like that. It's like, put me on. And I'm like, well, it's not that easy. Like, I really can't just put you on that easy. I have to get you approved, and you might not get approved. And if you don't get approved, now you're gonna come at me, be mad at me, and it's like, hey, man, say, man, I'm just doing my job. Like, so I wouldn't say that's really a disadvantage. I would just say it's, it comes with life when you have like a title and, you can't make everybody happy. It'd be kind of disappointing when it's someone who you don't expect that from. It's like, wait, I thought you were friends. And it's like, oh, you were probably just using me so I could get your brother on the platform. Like, girl,
Mm-hmm.
please. So yes, that has happened before and it probably will continue to happen. But I I have good discernment, and if I don't really see it there, I know people who I have in my life who do care about me genuinely. They can tell me before I even see it, like, Shania, you need to watch out because this seems a little iffy. So yeah.
I know you mentioned how you went to like a key clock party, like a listening party, but is there any I guess any other opportunities that you got while working on the radar? Like I saw of course on your Instagram how you were I guess at a panel you were speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, first off, let's mention you. I probably, I mean, probably wouldn't have gotten this opportunity to do the interview with you. So I honestly thank you so much for reaching out to me about this interview. That's an opportunity in itself, and I appreciate you for that so much. Um, I would say yes, this interview, the panel, that was dope. That was actually my first panel, like ever, I think. Yeah. So yeah, I think that was pretty cool. It was a dope experience. I feel like that's me stepping into broadcasting in myself, because OTR gapes the face. So it's like I'm like the background. So that was like my first time actually on a panel. So that was really, really dope. And I'm glad to have that experience and to keep getting those opportunities. It's gonna be dope. Um, I would also say school events. Like I recently went to my high school fashion industries, and dope enough, we are working together at OTR to try to build a event there, which I find that's gonna be dope. So it's like I'm doing stuff with other schools, but now I could bring it back to my actual school, my old, high school, which is dope. I like that.
I guess somebody who wants to, of course, like go into like the broadcasting industry or even the music industry, like what are some things I guess people should maybe look out for? Maybe some things people should be advised on.
Um, well, one, I would definitely probably say just have strong integrity and stand your ground. In this type of industry, I think probably all industries for real, but especially as a woman and a black woman, people are gonna try to like belittle you or belittle your ability, your knowledge, or whatever they try to belittle. And it's like you just have to stand your ground and have your own integrity. Be like, no, I can do this. This is what happened. Just be honest, be front. What's the word? Straightforward. And get your work done. Because as long as you prove people wrong, people can't say anything about you. So, I mean, well, they can actually, but you could prove their point though. Like, you saying this, but I have the work for it. I can show my work for it. So yeah, that's what I would say. Just stand your ground, be truthful, hold yourself to integrity, stand up straight and be confident. Because nobody can take your confidence away from you unless you let them. So
I know I think you explained a little bit before earlier, but I guess like how do you
mm,
represent yourself at on the radar?
yeah. Well, I feel like I'm literally like myself in a way. Like you get what you see, like honestly. But what I will say on the radar though, like I'm nice, but I'm also very like again with the entitlement, people try to go over and it's like, okay, like sometimes I feel like I'll be too nice sometimes. So I'll be having to like really kind of push back sometimes, like, hold on, like I'm nice, but now you need to stand your ground. So like I'm kind of talking to myself. But but yeah, I'm just a nice person and I represent myself that way. I'm respectful, I'm honest, and I get my work done. So if you don't give people something to talk about in a bad way, there's really nothing they can say in a bad way. I feel like everybody could just say nice things about me, and that's how I represent myself. So yeah,
Yeah, because this might be off topic, but it's like I've also
yeah,
seen before, like people have been talking about, like, like whenever you, I guess, like mind your own business, like you just keep to yourself. Some people see that as a threat, especially in like the
yeah,
workspace. And it's like, have you gotten experience like that where it's just like, again, you just keep to yourself, like you do your work, you just keep it going. And it's just like,
yeah. What I will say, honestly, I do kind of keep to myself, but I've noticed that I don't want to keep to myself because the more you keep to yourself, the more you're not giving yourself exposure to meet new people and just build that brand that you want to build. And that's something I'm working on personally. It's like go outside, go to these events, network, meet these people, give them something where they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember her. Yeah, I know her. She's a nice girl. She's cool." Like that's what I want to give. So yeah. I try not to stay in the background because sometimes I am like that. But I think that I'm just still finding my foot in it and I'm still getting a little comfortable, but I feel like now I need to like really push that and really go outside. Like I'm new, but I'm not that new anymore. So I really need to get out there or yeah, that's what I would say for myself actually. Actually.
and oh,
Uh,
the other question. Do you maybe
yeah,
want to get into depth about like what is the role of being a director of bookings? Is like what do you exactly do? I know you explained it before, but
what I do. So basically, as director of bookings, I control the all the sessions that are being scheduled at On the Radar. Now we used to only have one studio, but now we have three studios. And now I schedule for three studios, which is more on my plate. I also schedule the releases for On the Radar. So everything that is released is scheduled by me. And I just honestly, I also have my own A&Rs who reach out to me to get their artists booked. So I'm kind of like an A&R as well, more than just a director of bookings. But besides having my own relationships, for the director of bookings, I direct everybody on my team's bookings. We kind of have like four major booking people. So it's like Aiden, he books the underground artists. Then you have Toby, she's more mainstream, the, you know, the lit upcoming, I wouldn't say upcoming, but like the lit rappers, Toby and then Gabe's people. So yeah, so I just scheduled for the whole teams, put them on the calendar, and yeah, that's basically my role.
Because I had also another question. I
Yeah.
guess just like other than like, advice for people, who want to get into the many different industries.
Yeah.
I guess for like maybe students, college students especially like who are pursuing like communication, journalism and stuff like that. I'm a business major, but of course like journalism is just something like I've always loved and like grew up on, but it's like
Right.
I guess the advice would be, mm, like maybe not to say maybe not to how to not maybe pressure yourself if that makes sense, like like not to burn out because like I've had experience with like when trying to work on stories, back to back interviewing people, like I've had many cases where I burnt myself out, so it's just like I guess maybe
Yeah.
advice on how to just pace yourself.
Yeah. I actually like that question. What I would say personally is give yourself grace, especially if you're the only person who is doing a job. Like me, for instance, I'm the only person in my department doing these bookings. So sometimes I really be having to give myself grace, like Shania, like even though you have a lot going on right now, you're the only person doing this, and it makes sense that you're in the state that you're in right now. Like it's nothing for you to be like overwhelming yourself too much where it's like, oh, you can't do it when you are doing it. I would say honestly, if you ever feel like you need that, talk to people who's around you. If you have a boss who's caring or something like that, well, I hope you do have a boss that's caring. But if you do have a boss that's caring, let them know how you're feeling. Let them know if you do need somebody else to help you out. Let them know they should be willing to give you that support if they really do care about your mental state and their job and their company.
That was actually also good advice too.
Yeah,
But I guess is
I
there
hope so.
anything else you'd like to add for the interview? Any last words?
Let me think. Let me think. Oh, do you want to know a fun fact? I'll tell you a fun fact. A fun fact is that I always knew I wanted to get into entertainment, actually. And in my high school years, my senior year, I actually used to have a YouTube channel. And I was really, really consistent on it for about like probably like a year or 2 years. And then I stopped because like the whole COVID thing happened. And then it's just like, these are excuses, but it's the truth of what happened. So I always wanted to get entertainment just from that. So I don't know if I'm gonna get back to YouTube, but I know I still definitely want to have my face center front forward. That's what I would say for sure. Yeah, that's a
Wait.
little thing. People don't know that about me at all, unless they knew me from my high school ages.
Oh my God, wait. So how are you planning on getting back to YouTube? Like, any video ideas or like,
Yeah, I was thinking if I don't get into like my journey in music and having like I wouldn't even say podcast because I don't even know how the podcast industry is doing right now.
mm,
But I was kind of thinking like a podcast vibe, or personally, back to my life, literally.
so like kind of I guess like vlogging, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, wow. No, like you're so fun to talk to. Like this
Oh,
was
I hope
fun to
so.
do.
I hope so. I really do.
Yeah.
But you are cool too. It was actually, you're very chill, so you helped me be chill.
Oh my
So I
God.
appreciate that.
Thank you. Like
Yes.
I'm trying like when it comes to interviewing people, like I want to make sure they're comfortable as possible. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
No, you did
Yeah.
good, and your questions were really, really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did a little pops in there. I like that. That was good.
But again, just want to say congratulations. Looking forward to seeing
Oh,
your
thank you.
graduation photos, of course, too.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And again, thank you for this interview. And thank you for being so patient and working with,
Of
within
course.
both of our schedules.
Yeah. No,
Appreciate it.
because again, it's just too much going on in life, but we made it.
Yes, we got it done. Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Period.